probably better, but they were not effective enough, and Man City was very effective. Then against Tottenham, they were just steamrolling them again.
Yeah.
And then the game here, I think, was probably one of the poorest in Rodgers' whole time. There wasn't anything there, and you know, I think that can happen when you try to. When you try to get all these players in as well. I think he did the right thing in resting Sterling because he's still only 19 and he's going to be a long season for him. But there should have been enough quality there to get past Aston Villa. But then again, the last 2 seasons, Aston Villa have just steamrolled them.
Yeah.
At home as well, which is it's like a funny little idiosyncrasy there that Lambert's got something there when he comes to Anfield, and he always seems to produce very well as well. Yeah. So I think you have to be patient with these things as well. You know, I've got every faith in Rodgers that you know that'll settle down and they'll start playing and all that kind of thing. It didn't help that Sturridge went off because he is so effective as well.
Yeah, I mean he's a terrific player, Sturridge. Obviously they brought in Mario. Now, Chris, you're a big Italian football fan. You saw a lot of him at Milan. I think he got something like 16 goals last season, and one of the poorest Milan teams that I've ever seen anyway, certainly in our time of football. They were trying to wind him up, and this is the thing. I was watching Match of the Day, and they kept saying, "Oh, look, they're trying to wind him up by kicking him." So, you know, Alan Hutton kicked him about 2 or 3 times. Senderos elbowed him in the back. You know, that to me isn't winding someone up. That's a foul all the time. He didn't react though. You know, so has he maybe matured a little bit since he was last in England, or is it just a case of he just didn't react because he couldn't be bothered?
I think he's still got a level of petulance at times in him, but he definitely has matured. I think at Liverpool, like it was at Milan, and when he was at City, he was never the main man. He was always one of a number of big signings that they had. He couldn't make a first team place his own. At Milan, he's carried them over the last 2 seasons. The first season they signed him in January, and he dragged them from about 10th or 11th to 3rd, and they qualified for the last Champions League place. That was all down to his goals, assists, and his presence in the team. Milan, as you say, are really poor, but he's been the one player that's kind of carried them and held them up. So when he got the move to Liverpool, I thought he'll be more loved when he goes there. I think that Rodgers is a great manager for someone like Balotelli, because he'll make him feel wanted. He'll make him feel as if he's an integral part of the team. I still think that. Well, I do think he'll be targeted, as happened yesterday with the Villa players and stuff. But I think he will be able to handle it better. Don't get me wrong, I would put money on him getting sent off for booting somebody at least once this season. That's almost certainly going to happen. But in terms of his temperament, I think it has got better, and I think I've still got a good feeling about this signing. I think it will work out for him, because I think he'll feel loved, and for Balotelli that's a huge thing.
I'll just curse him by saying I thought he was an absolute steal. I thought it was a brilliant signing for Liverpool for the amount that they actually had to pay for him to get someone of his kind of quality. I think he will. I think he's going to. I think he's got the desire to show folk what he's got in England, and he wants to prove himself as. You've got it exactly right, an integral part of the team, and he wants to be sort of the main man, and I think he's got the determination to do it. I think Rodgers is he's seen he's available, and I doubt you could believe he could have got him for 16 million, was it?
Yeah, crazy man. Yeah. Louis, did you watch the Man U game last night?
Yeah, I did.
Have they turned the corner?
I don't know. It could be a false dawn again. Just need to wait and see. I mean, I think they're definitely in a better position now with the signings that they've made. You could see how much of a improvement Di Maria made to them in terms of his running with the ball and off the ball, and he was constantly dangerous, whether he was cutting inside or going down the outside. And as I said earlier, having Daley Blind in there just allowed other people to play, and he was great at kind of breaking up play, recycling the ball and keeping things going.
Yeah.
as Christian was saying earlier, just maybe doing some of the dirty work, but the work that needs to be done is what Joe Lively used to do for Celtic when he would possibly go unnoticed at times, but it wasn't. It was more because he wasn't doing anything flamboyant with the ball, but he was just doing the little things, and you need a player like that.
Yeah.
So I thought they were a lot better. But yeah, it's just whether they keep it up, you know, whether it really is. I mean, playing at Old Trafford, that's not where they're going to be tested. It's going to be when they're on the road, and can these players perform?
It's a good point about them playing at Old Trafford. Also, the level of opposition. This QPR, I'm delighted to say, Harry Redknapp being found out for the mug that he is. Again,
you should say that in a Cockney accent. He's a mug. Was that Cockney?
You've just done it for me. Isla was playing for them. QPR. What do you make of that, Chris?
I've always thought he was a good player. He's one of these guys that just appeared at QPR, a bit like Song signing for West Ham.
Yeah,
kind
Vargas as well.
Under the radar. Yeah, they got him in on loan as well. It's just, I think that's just QPR flexing their financial muscle. I don't know. I don't think they're ever going to blossom at that club.
See Sandro, that's the Sandro from Tottenham as well.
Yeah.
So they brought in Fair from Norwich. They just brought, instead of buying a team, they've just puck individuals. Puck is a word, by the way. Ferdinand, Kolker, Isla. So that's 3, 4. There was at least 5 or 6 players in that first team that he's just thought, right, you're a name, I'll fire you in.
It's the same with Barini. He was going to get Barini as well until Barini said, well, he just wanted too much in wages. But that's another name that I just don't see how he's going to fit in QPR.
Can you give us what happened with Barini? Because there was a lot of stuff reported. Did he just refuse to move?
That's what it seems like. I think the rumours were he was asking for about 90 grand a week, and I think he basically, I think Barini basically wants to stay at Liverpool come what may, and he's obviously not going to play much. But in a way, I quite like that he wants to stay because I don't think it's just about the money. But I think he basically priced himself out of QPR because he doesn't really want to go there. Yeah. And he said, if I'm going to go the well list, I'm going to get really, really well paid. So, in a way, I kind of admire him for wanting to stay at Liverpool and fight, because a lot of other people just would have gone. But other, and to be fair to him, QPR is not the club you want to go to. I think if a semi-normal club would have come for him, like a Swansea, back to Swansea.
Didn't Sunderland come back in for him?
Sunderland as well.
Have you been to Sunderland?
Yeah. I think maybe he wanted a step up from that, or somebody in Italy came as well. But I think he'd rather stay at Liverpool than go to QPR for a lot more money.
Yeah, I would too.
See Barini, when he came through at Roma, I really thought he was going to be an excellent player, but he's not developed at all.
He started at Chelsea, didn't he?
I think he did, aye.
He started at Chelsea and then he went to Roma and rattled the goals in. And
yep. I completely forgot he was at Chelsea. No, you're absolutely right. But when he went to Roma, he came on a few times as a substitute. I thought he looks as if he's really going to kick on and develop, but he hasn't.
He was in the Italy squad for the 2012 European Championship as well, and he played.
They took him along a lot. He reminded me of the way they took Gilardino along several years before that. He was coming through and they were kind of taking him for the experience, assuming that he was going to kick on like I thought he would, but he really didn't. Sorry, I'm just going to interject, because when we talked about Balotelli, we didn't ask you what you thought of him, really, and I'm quite interested to know.
I think like you were saying, it's a ridiculously good price. I think it aligns in so many ways for him, because it's pretty much his last chance. He needs to show what he's doing, and you couldn't want for a better place to do that.
Or a manager to do that.
Yeah, exactly. In the club where Liverpool are at the moment, and Rodgers as a manager as well. I think Balotelli now, Steven Gerrard divides opinion, and a lot of people kind of stand him. A lot of people maybe give him a lot more praise than he should have as well. But I always find it quite interesting how big his standard is, or his reputation is, within the players in world football. And I think he's somebody that Balotelli is actually going to say, well, I can go and play with Steven Gerrard, and he can, he's the leader, he's the main guy. I don't have to carry the team as well, and I can learn from him. So I think all the stars kind of align to that. And again, the price is ridiculous. So, and while Liverpool's purchases this summer were good, they didn't really have that, that spark of somebody when Suarez goes to something that can do something ridiculous from 30 yards or something like that. Now Sterling can maybe do that a little bit, but you need at least that when Suarez went in and that little bit of unpredictability went, and Balotelli brings that in. Now he brings with him baggage as well, but I think the game against Tottenham was very encouraging, where he can play up together with Sturridge and Sterling a bit behind them, and then the three in the midfield behind there as well. I think that's the best formation they have, and it's not even a gamble, if it doesn't work out.
It's funny, and I might get pelters for this. Sterling reminds me, and I'm going to come to Dermot because hopefully he'll agree with me. Reminds me, remember when Milner broke in? Milner broke in for Leeds at 16 or 17 and he was devastating. He was fast, he took people on, he genuinely looked like he was going to be the next big thing for England. Now he broke through at 16. Sterling, and I'm not saying they're exactly the same players because they're not, but I just look at what happened to James Milner and I think, they've already got Sterling as the greatest player outside of Messi and Ronaldo in the world just now. Obviously that's the English media going overboard as usual. But is he impressed Joe Louis as much? It's someone who, actually had a decent World Cup considering how bad England were. What's he done for you in terms of how you think him?
Yeah, well, I spoke about him last week on the podcast and said how impressed I was with him. And the fact that he seems to now be taking on the mantle of a very, very important member of the team rather than being a prospect. He's kind of taken it on to really be, maybe other than Sturridge, the most important player that Liverpool have in an attacking sense. So I think he's taken that on well. I think he's matured, and I think he's still progressing, which is positive. He doesn't look as if he's going backwards. He doesn't look as if he's stagnated yet. He's still got the kind of typical flair and pace that he had last season, but possibly he's developing a wee bit better mentally. He knows when to play to pass it rather than just run aimlessly into the box and possibly lose the ball. So yeah, he's getting better in that regard. But again, with Balotelli coming in, it's possibly a wee bit of attention maybe off him and a bit of responsibility off him.
That could be a good thing for him, though.
Yeah, definitely it's a lot of pressure to put on a 19-year-old boy. But after how he's played last season, if I was a Liverpool fan, I would be very, very excited to see him play. He'd be the one player I would want to see. I'd go and enjoy watching.
Aye, I totally agree with that. I think he's such an exciting player, and he's at the stage now where he's no longer a prospect. That's it, he's doing it. But I do feel a wee bit sorry for him with just the weight of expectation and the hype from the English media that he's now going to be England's saviour.
And Josh Townsend.
Exactly. You go back a year and you kind of see what's happened. I think that he has got the right manager. He will get rested. He'll be looked after. He'll be protected and away from this. And he's in a team that plays football. I'd say it was the right way. Manager's tactically aware. He's going to learn all the time, and he actually could be the rare example of someone who actually totally fulfills their potential and goes on to do something really quite special.
Okay, so we have a question. It's from, of course, Michael Chapman. It's more of a topic, and it's: is Neil Lennon the man to take Newcastle back where we belong?
Yes. The championship.
Genuine question. Could Lennon would Lennon be up for it? And if he was up for it, do you think he would be successful, Louis?
It's a job as a football manager, so I think Neil Lennon would definitely be up for it.
That's a good point.
And I really don't know in terms of whether he would be suited to it, because I think that job is a big job in terms of the expectation of the fans. I mean, rightly or wrongly, from what our opinion is of Newcastle, and I